Perik Chi, Amar Rabbi Akiva. As we mentioned last time, according to Tosfos at least, this is a simpler explanation. This Perik comes in continuation to the fact that we brought, in the end of last Perik, a din with a pasuk which didn't prove it properly. It was just like a hint. Remez, zeichel adavar. So we're going to bring a bunch of other halachas which also are midrabanan and don't have a proper source in the pasuk, but there's a hint. Also, the pasuk that we're going to bring over here in the first halacha is a continuation of the same subject that we brought in last Mishnah. The same nevuah of Yeshaya about the negative nevuah about the Yidden. So it continues and it speaks about how Yidden should treat Avodah Zarah to do tshuva. They should throw away the Avodah Zarah. So we're going to discuss how the pasuk describes how you should throw away the Avodah Zarah. Rashi mentions that one of the Mishnayos later, one of these halachas will be a halacha related to Shabbos, a halacha about washing a child after a bris milah. But Tosfos asks, it's later, and it's not the subject of our Perek. We were talking about carrying, and that's talking about bris milah. But it could be balabatish that Rashi is saying that we wouldn't just bring a bunch of halachas just because of the fact that they're related to the idea of bringing a hint in a pasuk, if there would be none of the halachas which are somewhat related to Shabbos. Because one of the halachas are related to Shabbos, therefore, as if Rabbi found it right to bring all these Mishnayos here, although the connection is just a small connection of the fact that there's a hint in the pasuk. So the first subject will be Avodah Zarah. Midiraisa, Avodah Zarah isn't Tomei. Avodah Zarah should be destroyed, but it's not Tomei. However, Midrabanan, they wanted you to be far from Avodah Zarah, and therefore they said that it's Tomei. And the question is, which Tumah did they compare it to? There are many different halachas of Tumah, different types of Tumah which have different rules. Which one do we compare it to? 1 second. Which one do we compare it to? So, Rabbi Akiva is going to say that we're going to compare it to the Tumah of Nida, which we'll see soon has specific halachas to it. The one he's going to quote in the Mishnah is that it's metamei b'maso, that if someone carries it, even if he doesn't touch it directly, he still becomes tamei. Not every tumah has that rule. Nevela has it, mace has it, but a sheretz, for example, doesn't have it. Certain the 8 creatures that are metamei, if you touch them, you become tamei, but if you carry them, you do not become tamei. So they compared Avodah Zarah to Nida, that b'maso, with carrying it, lifting it, without touching, a person also becomes tamei. And we have a hint for that in the pasuk. That's not a proof, because it's a tumah d'Rabbanan, but there's a hint for that. Amar Rabbi Akiva, minayin, how do we know Avodah Zarah shemitamo b'maso kanidu, that by lifting it, even without touching it, if there's something in between, a person becomes tamei, which that's similar to a nida, which you become tamei from her by lifting her, even if you don't touch her. Shenemar, as it says, tizrein k'moi dava. You should throw it away. We'll see soon exactly in the Gemara what exactly the word tizrein means. But push them away, be distant from them, like a nida. Say toim marloi, tell the Avodah Zarah leave. So why does it say compared to idava to nida? Ma'nida mitama b'masa, just like a nida makes a person tamei by lifting her. Avodah Zarah mitama b'masa, Avodah Zarah also by lifting it, one becomes tamei. Fine. So now we're going to bring a Mishnah in Masechta Avodah Zarah, which is going to bring this din of Rabbi Akiva, but it's going to bring that really it's a machlokes. Rabbi Akiva says this halacha that it's like a nida. Chachamim also agree that it's tamei, but they don't compare it to a nida, they compare it to a sheretz. And we'll see soon what's the difference in the halacha. Tonight also we learned the Masechta Avodah Zarah. So first it starts off with a different halacha. I don't know exactly why we have to quote over here the beginning of the Mishnah as well, but it discusses the idea of, besides Avodah Zarah becoming Tameh, there's another, making you Tameh, there's another halacha that you're not allowed to give any benefit to Avodah Zarah. So if someone bought a house or built a house, and then Avodah Zarah house built it right next to him, or whatever it is, and he's a neighbor to Avodah Zarah house, fine, that's fine. But one of his walls fell down, and he wants to rebuild it, and the Avodah Zarah house used his wall, the outside of his wall, as a wall of the Avodah Zarah house. So now if I'm going to rebuild it, I'm building a wall for Avodah Zarah. Who cares if it's my wall? I'm helping Avodah Zarah. I'm not allowed to do that. So what do? You back off 4 amos into your property and you build the wall over there. Now what's going to happen? They're going to have extra space? No. Fill it up with some mud and some thorns. It's your space. You can do whatever you want. So they don't have a wall and they don't have space. And whatever they'll do. But you didn't give them any benefit. If his house was a neighbor to Avodah Zarah house, and the wall fell, you may not build the wall in the place which will serve Avodah Zarah. What should you do? Back off into your own property, and there you could then you build it. Now, what if to begin with you both were partners in building the wall? Or let's say not. Let's say you bought it off a goy, which was a partner with Avodah Zarah house, and therefore half of the wall belongs to Avodah Zarah, and half of the wall belongs to you. And now the wall fell. So, you basically, one second. I'm sorry, the first example was the opposite story. The first example was you bought a house which to begin with, the wall, I'm just trying to think how it works. Trying to think how it works. Trying to think how this works. 1 second. Basically like this. If the wall totally belonged to you, and you have to back off 4 amos, 2 meters, you measure the wall as part of the 2 meters. Back off 2 meters, including the wall, and then build your wall. However, if half of the wall belongs to Avodah Zarah, it's not enough to back off 2 meters from the further end of the wall. You have to count 2 meters from half of the wall, because half of the wall already belonged to Avodah Zarah. If you just back off 2 meters from the further outside end of the wall, you didn't back off into your property 4 amos. So you must calculate from halfway through the wall, then back off 4 amos, and that's what you have to do if the wall was a shared wall between you and Avodah Zarah. So again, if the wall was a partnered wall, if you want to measure 4 amos, you have to measure it from halfway through the wall. You cannot measure it from the outside end of the wall. Fine. Then the Mishnah continues. Avonov ve'etzav ve'aforov, all the actual wall that fell down, the wood, the rocks, the wood, any clay they put in between, mitamin kesheretz. In the second case, when the wall belonged to Avodah Zarah, that part which belonged to Avodah Zarah is tameh. That's why. Now, I asked the question before, why did you have to bring this whole Mishnah? This is why, because the whole subject of the tumah is because the wall fell and it belonged to Avodah Zarah. So you want to know that wall which belongs to Avodah Zarah is tameh. So it says the Mishnah, mitamin kisheretz. It's tameh like a sheretz, like a creature, like the 8 creatures which are mitamin. Shenemar, as it says, shakitz the shaktzan. You should treat it as something disgusting. But the Torah uses the word shakets, which is the same word it uses for shiratzim, for those creatures, which means treat it like a creature, like a Talmudic creature, that whatever rules of tumah it has. Rabbi Akiva, like we said in our Mishnah, kinida. Shenemer, as it says, tizrin k'mei dava, throw it away like a needle. And l'maynaf kimina, ma nida mitama b'masa, a sheretz, a creature, if you carry it without touching it, you don't become tummy. But a nida, if you carry her without touching her, you do become tummy. So for that, we compare it to a nida, that just like a nida's mitama b'masa, afav zor mitama b'masa. Now, if you learn the Mishnah simply, it sounds like Rabbanan hold. If you lifted it, the Avodah Zarah, without touching it, you're not tummy. But the Rabbah is not happy with that. Omar Rabbah, look at the pasuk. The pasuk says Tizrein, the Omar Kro. When the pasuk says Tizrein, what does the word Tizrein mean? Tizrein comes from the Shadish Zor, a foreigner. Nachrinu minoch, make it foreign to you, Kizor, like a foreigner. Say Toimar lo, Hikani sal Toimar lo, tell it to leave. Don't tell it to come in, which means to say like this. The pasuk already said before, but timeisem, you should make it tummy. You should look at it as tummy. Why does the pasuk have to add tizrein? It's saying make it more distant than just regular tummy. So the pasuk is telling you make it more distant than regular tummy. So obviously Rabbanan will also agree that it has a severe level of tumah. It can't be that Rabbanan hold the allowed if you lift it without touching it, you're Torah. It can't be. Because the pasuk says that it's v'timeisem, make it tummy, and then it says tizrei, make it foreign, say toimar loy, get it out of your property. So the pasuk is telling you treat it as distant as possible. How could Rabbanan come and say that no, it's a lower level of tumah? It can't be. It must be that Rabbanan also agree that if you lift it, you become tummy, even without touching it. But the Mishnah clearly said otherwise. So that's who's going to come and say, no, it must be that there's a certain type of lifting which is unique for a nida, and that type of lifting, the Rabbanan hold, doesn't apply to Avodah Zarah. What is that? Based on what we just said now, Rabbi says, everyone agrees that if you lift it without touching it, you're tummy. The discussion in Nida, because it's similar to Nida, because since the pasuk is coming to make it, to treat it in a strict way, when it compares it to Nida, obviously that's something accurate, that it has to be with most of the severity of a Nida. Keep leaking. So what are they arguing about? Be'even misami. So Rashi explains Even misami means it's a rock which is not, it usually, Masa would mean, or a Mishkov Moshe would mean, I'm sitting, let's say, on a mattress, and the mattress is sitting on a board, and the board is sitting on a I don't know what, some other stands. So all of them become tummy because you're resting on all of them. But what if you have a rock standing on pegs? Misami means lifted, standing on pegs. And then there's some things under that rock touching it, but practically the rock is not resting on them. So it's not really lifted by them. It's not masa as in they're holding it. They're not really holding it. And since they're not really holding it, then you would think that it doesn't become tummy. But by a nida, there's a special pasuk which says no. Even in such a case, when the things were under it and they weren't actually holding it, they become tummy. So that's the type of masa. That's the type of masa where Chachamim say that's unique for a nida, and that we won't apply to Avodah Zarah. Tosfos explains that misami means it's a very heavy rock, and therefore, when, let's say, the Zohar puts a foot on it or a hand on it and rests on it, it's totally insignificant. The object under it, as if, is not affected at all by the extra weight. The extra weight is totally insignificant. It's a real heavy rock. So that's also something which is unique for a nida. And nevertheless, since you were standing on it, even if it's totally insignificant, the weight that you added, it still makes it tummy. So that Chacham say does not apply to Avodah Zorah. That's only to Nida. Rabbi Kiva Sovar Kimida. Man Nida Metani Be'edim Esami does make things tummy even with a lifted rock or with a heavy rock. Avodah Zorah Metani Be'edim Esami. Avodah Zorah also makes things tummy goes on top of a lifted rock or a heavy rock. And Rabbanan Samri, no. For that I have to use what the Torah compared it to Sheretz to say that it's a bit more lenient than a Nida. Sorry, Sheretz, Ma Sheretz Linatime Bevim Esami. For that the Torah compared it to Sheretz to say that just like Sheretz does not make things tummy by a lifted rock, because it doesn't make anything tummy by lifting altogether. But still, it doesn't make things tummy with a lifted rock. And therefore, Avodah Zorah Linatime Bevim Esami. Avodah Zorah also doesn't make things tummy with a lifted or a heavy rock. Okay. But the Torah compared it to our sheretz. What is Rabbi Kiva going to do with that pasuk? Why did the Torah compare it to our sheretz if it's compared to something more strict to Nida? Says the Gemara Lim Sham Shel. All the things that are the utensils which serve the Avodah Zorah, they're also tummy, but not with such a severe tumah like Avodah Zorah. They're tummy like a sheretz. So the Torah compared Avodah Zorah to a sheretz to say that the utensils which are serving the Avodah Zorah are tummy like a sheretz, but the Avodah Zorah itself is like a nida. Now, okay, we already said this before, but you just emphasizing it again. According to Rabbanon, why did the Navi compare it to a nida? L'masa. That's what we said, that Lamasa, they also agree that if you lift Avodah Zorah without touching it, you become tummy. Says, wait one second. Nida is not unique. It's not the only tumah that's metamim Lamasa. There's also tumah space, okay, but that has other stringencies. But there's nevela. Nevela is a perfect match. Nevela is metamim Lamasa. It's not metamim be'evin misami. It's not metam with this lifted or heavy rock, only with a proper masa, proper lifting. So you have a perfect match. Why didn't the Navi call it a nevela? Why did he call it a nida? But look, Rahman al nevela. Why couldn't he compare it to a nevela? In an achinami, you're right, you have a good point. There's another detail why it's compared to a nida. Elaman nida eino leivorim. A nida is a live person. And therefore, she's only mentame a full body. If she passes away, she doesn't have tumas nida, she has tumas meis. And therefore, if the ivonim are separate, then it's not metame tumas nida. Avodah Zorah ain't only ivonim. A broken Avodah Zorah doesn't make you tummy. A complete Avodah Zorah makes you tummy. A broken Avodah Zorah doesn't make you tummy. For that, it was compared to nida, not to nevela. So that's why Rabbanan hold it was compared to nida. Fine. Says the Gemara, 1 second. This halacha, if a broken Avodah Zorah makes you tummy, is a question that was asked. Velahad the boy Rav Chama Bar Guria. Rav Chama Bar Guria once asked the question: Avodah Zorah yeshna leivarim eino leivarim. Is a broken Avodah Zorah, does the parts of Avodah Zorah make you tummy or not? Tishat leimiha. Let him prove from this discussion we just said that Rabbanan eino leivarim. That Rabbanon hold that the comparison to nida is telling you that if it's broken, it doesn't make you tummy. So what are you right? Rabbi Akiva compares it to nida to say that it's fully like a nida, that all the halachas of a nida apply. So we have no proof that he holds that it's coming to say lekula. That it's only metami if it's complete, not if it's broken, like a nida, we don't know. And therefore, Rabbi Chama Bar Guria asked, what does Rabbi Kiva hold? Rabbanan definitely hold that it's not metami leivarim. Why? Because if it would just be for the stringency, to say that it's metami le'masa, the Navi would have used the nevela as a comparison, not a nida. So it must be it's comparing it to a nida for the leniency, to say that it's only metami when it's complete. However, Rabbi Kiva holds that the Navi compared it to nida to say that all the stringencies of its tumah apply, that it's mitami b'masra and even be'evin misami with a lifted or a heavy rock. So we don't know what he holds regarding the leniency. Is it only mitami when it's complete or also when it's broken? We don't know. And since we don't know, that's why the Chomer Guri had a question and he couldn't prove from our discussion of you. That's the end of Rabbi's approach. Rabbi, again, because of the word tizrein, said it must be that Rabbanan hold that it's mitami b'masra. So the whole machlokes is about the Evan Mesame, and that's how we got to this whole discussion of here. Then we'll have another approach, Rabbi Lazar's approach. Rabbi Lazar holds no, he takes it face value. The machlokes is if it's mitami b'masra. Don't add anything from here. But Rabbi Lazar holds be'evan misame the kuli amal apliki deloy mitami. Just the opposite. We're not going to go so extreme to compare it to a nida that is mitami even with a lifted or a heavy rock. No. It's a tumah d'Rabbanan. We're not going to go so far. Everyone agrees that a lifted or a heavy rock is not mitami by Avodah Zarah. Keep looking at masa. Look at the Mishnah. The machlokes says whether lifting without touching makes you tummy. Rabbi Kiva Summer Kenida Manida Matami B'Masa. Just the Kenida makes you tummy if you lifted Avodah Zarah. Matami B'Masa. But Rabbanan said Rabbanan hold Kesheretz. Ma Sheretz. Lay Matami B'Masa. Just like Sheretz doesn't make you tummy if you lift it without touching it. Avodah Zarah Matami B'Masa. Fine. Fits very well with the Mishnah. The problem is, now let's go to the details. Yeah? Let's try to see. Rabbi Akiva l'mayilchas ha'izkash l'sheretz. According to Rabbi Akiva, why did the Torah compare it to Sheretz? We could use the same answer we said before. Limisham shel. To say that the utensils that are used to serve it are tamei like a sheretz. The truth is, Rabbi Akiva could say something else. He could say that a sheretz is coming to take it away from a nida, that it's not mitami be'evim mesami. Just like we said, according to Rabbanan and Rabbi's opinion. Fine. But Lepoyo, he could also learn that the Misham Shabbat Zara are mitami like a sheretz. V'Rabbanan l'mayilchas ha'izkash l'nida. We can use the same thing. Ma nida einu leivarim, Avodah Zara einu leivarim. Which same thing you said before. Till now it's the same thing. Just like Anita's matami only when she's home, so to Avodah Zarah matami only when it's home. Fine. Now we have the question we asked before, according to the Rabbanon, in Rabbi's opinion, if you're only learning the halacha of lifting it without touching it, but you're not learning the halacha of Evan Misame of a lifted or a heavy rock, so why did you compare it to an Nevela? Why are we comparing it to Nida? So the Gemara answers Lemasa, to say that if you lift it without touching it, you become Tamei. If so, asks the Gemara, look, Nevela. Why doesn't he compare it to a Nevela, which has exactly that halacha, that lifting it makes you tummy without touching it, but not even Misame? Says the Gemara, you're right. The same thing which Rabbanan learned from it, Rabbi Akiva is going to learn from it. Rabbi Akiva is going to learn that it's like a nida for the leniency, that it's only with time when it's complete and not when it's broken. So basically, we're using here svaras that Rabbi mentioned, but a bit differently. Yeah, Rabbanan compared to sheretz totally, that it's mitame only b'maga, not b'masa. Why do they compare it to? Why does the Navi compare it to a nida? For the leniency, that it's only mitami home. Why does Rabbi Akiva compare it to a sheretz? For that the I guess, but we'll see. But why does he compare it to a sheretz? That the utensils are mitami like a sheretz. Why is it compared to a nida? That it's mitami b'masa. But why couldn't he choose nevela? Because he wants to say something else. It wants to say that it's not mitame when it's broken, only mitame when it's home. But now we're stuck because that person who asked the question, Rav Chaim Bar Guri, who asked the question, what's the halacha if it's broken to pieces? And we answered that he's talking according to Rabbi Akiva. But now Rabbi Akiva also holds that it's compared to a nida to say that it's not mitame when it's broken to pieces. That which Rabbi Chaim Bar Guria asked, does it make you tell me when it's broken or not? Let him answer from what we just said now. Bein Rabbanan, Bein Rabbi Akiva, according to both of them. That's not the time when it's broken. Says the Gemara, very simple. Rabbi Chaim Bar Guria Kirabba Masni. He learned like Rabbi. With Rabbi Akiva. He held like Rabbi's opinion that everyone holds that it's been time of a masa. And Rabbi Akiva is comparing it to Nida totally, that it's Matami even Be'evim Misame. And therefore we don't know what Rabbi Akiva holds if it has the leniency of a Nida that it's only Matami when she's whole. It's only time when David Azar is whole. And Rabbi Chaim Bar Guria was asking according to Rabbi, according to Rabbi Akiva. That's the end of that discussion. And then we're now going to bring brises supporting or questioning the different opinions of Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi. So to summarize, Rabbi Akiva started the subject, brought down the subject of Tumas David Azar. He learns it from a pasuk in Yeshaya that it says that Yeshaya tells the Eden, being a Tami David Azar, treat it like a nida and tell it go out. So we see it has Tuma like a nida. That what? That is from Tami V'Masa. We see in a Mishnah of Iduzora, Rabbanan argue, and they say no. The Torah compares it to a sheretz, shakis to shakis. No, that's Tuma sheretz. Tuma sheretz is not Mitami V'Masa. Only V'Masa means lifting it without touching it. It's only Mitami when you touch it. So if you read the Mishnah, it sounds like there's a machlekes whether it's Mitami with lifting without touching or not. Comes Rabbi and says, no, that's impossible. The pasuk is telling you, push away Avodah Zarah, push away Avodah Zarah, push away Avodah Zarah. Sounds like telling you it's Tomei. Then Tizrei, make it foreign. Say Tomei, tell it go out. Rabbanan are going to tell me that in that as is going to tell me that it's not so strict, that it has only a tumah of a sheretz can be. If the pasuk is using here tumas nida, for sure it's coming to compare it somewhat to nida for the stringency. It must be that Rabbanan also hold that if you lift it without touching your tongue. Why are they comparing it to a sheretz? What's this whole machlekes? There's a specific type of tumas masa which is unique for a nida. That even on a lifted rock or on a heavy rock, and there's something under it, it's still considered masa, it's still considered that it's lifting the thing on top of it. So for that, Rabbanan say no. For that we compare it to a sheretz that it's not metami so strict. And Rabbi Akiva says no. It's like a nida, and it's metami even on this lifted or heavy rock. Now, L'poil, the Torah did compare it to a sheretz, and the Navi compared it to a nida. What is everyone going to do with these comparisons? So Rabbi Akiva says a sheretz, the mishamshi avodah zarah, the things that are used for avodah zarah, they're like a sheretz. Rabbanan, what are they going to do with the nida? Masa, why couldn't you use nevela? It's coming to add another detail, a leniency, that it's only metame when the nida is complete. So to the avodah zarah is only metame when the avodah zarah is complete. If it's broken, it's not metame. There was an Amud which had a question, what's the halacha in such a case? Rabbi Chaim Bar Guria, he's asking according to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says we learn like the tumah of a nida totally. So the question is, does he also learn the leniency or not? We don't know. That was Rabbi's opinion. Comes Rabbi Elazar and says, no, take the Mishnah and read it and teach it. The Mishnah says there's a machlokes, but it's metami b'masa, that's it. And Evim Misami for sure not. If it's a higher lifted rock or a heavy rock, it's not metami. Okay, let's try to analyze the Mishnah. The Torah compared it to a sheretz. What is Rabbi Akiva going to do with that? It's compared to a sheretz to the mishamshi avodah zarah. The utensils are coming like a sheretz, only by touch. Fine. Now, what are Rabbanan going to do with the pasuk that it's like a nida? That it's only metam when it's complete, not when it's broken. Fine. What is Rabbi Akiva? Why? If Rabbi Akiva learns that it's like a nida for what? To say that it's metam and b'masa, that with lifting it without touching your tummy. Why can't you use nevela? Rabbi Akiva, according to Rabbi Elazar, agrees that the unique type of masa of a nida, which is even misami, a lifted or a heavy rock, does not make it tummy. So why doesn't the Navi compare it to nevela? So we must say that Rabbi Akiva also holds that it's not metami when it's broken. And that's why he's comparing it to nida. So why was Rabbi Chaim Bar Guria asking the question whether it's metami or not when it's broken? Rabbi Akiva and Rabbanan both hold it not. He doesn't hold like Rabbi Elazar, he holds like a Rabbi. And therefore he's asking according to Rabbi, according to Rabbi Akiva.